on the way to the parking lot, I paused in front of a statue of a bearded and robed man. His right arm was raised, as if he just released a dove into the air, and his left hand rested on the head of a dog at his knee. I read the dedication plate at his feet. San Francisco de Assis, St. Francis of Assisi, in memory of Frank McGonagall. Frank McGonagall. I squished up my face as if that would help me think. I remember when he disappeared. Did they ever find out what happened to him? My mother slowly shook her head, then nodded. Oh, yes, it was very sad. They spent 9 years looking for him. It was hell for their family. They just dedicated the statue to him last year. My brain started popping off ideas as quickly as a flashing string of firecrackers. Have you ever talked to his parents about it? Sure, they're pretty open about the whole thing, although it's been a while since I've seen them. They're such sweet people. Nearly everyone in Kansas City knows the McGonagall name because they operated one of the finest and most popular meat markets in town for 70 years. Their family was another large Irish Catholic clan in Kansas City's largest Irish Catholic neighborhood. Our parents were friends. They had 9 kids. We have 8. Several of them were in school with my siblings, right there at St. Peter's Elementary. Frank was in my brother John's class and about 9 years older than me. Do you think they would talk to me about Frank? I asked my mother. Well, I suppose so, but why? Just thinking. My mother knew I was always on the hunt for a good story. But what she didn't know was that I had yet to come up with a topic for my master's thesis. While working as a staff writer for the Albuquerque Journal, I had enrolled in a graduate program at the University of New Mexico. The advisors in the English department allowed me to tailor a program in creative nonfiction writing, as no one had ever requested such a course. Like many things in my life, I made it up as I went along. The McGonagalls agreed to meet with me. Over many months, I interviewed them and their children and others who knew Frank. Over several more months and years, I traveled to the places mentioned in this book and interviewed many other subjects who exhibited varying degrees of reluctance. When I submitted the final draft of my thesis in the fall of 1995, Joan McGonagall, Frank's mother, asked me to refrain from publishing it as a book. She felt the story delved too deeply into sensitive family subjects that made her uncomfortable. I assured her that I hadn't heard or written about anything that hadn't happened in my own family, and I honored her request. Sometime in the mid-2000s, a couple of years before Joan died, I saw her at an Easter brunch I attended with my mother and some of her church friends. Joan pulled me aside. Jim, I've been thinking a lot about the story you wrote about Frank, and I want you to know that you have my blessing to publish it. I'm okay with it. I hugged her small, sturdy frame. Thank you, I said. I know this has dredged up a lot of feelings for you, and I imagine it's probably a little unsettling to think of strangers reading about your family. Frank's story is important. She just nodded. Part 1. Ripple in Still Water. Chapter 1. If you moved at a steady clip, cut through a few yards, and hopped a couple of fences, you could get from our house to the McGonagalls in about 12 minutes. They lived a half-mile from where I grew up in the Brookside neighborhood of Kansas City, and their family looked a lot like ours, big, Irish, and Catholic, as was nearly every other family in our freckle-faced, Friday fish-eating community. And if you weren't Irish, well, tough luck. In the blocks surrounding our house lived the Kennedys, McQueenies, McShanes, O'Maras, O'Sullivans, O'Tooles, Donnellys, Hogans, Haydens, Monahans, Murphys, and a dozen others, along with a handful of German-Irish and French-Irish families. On our street alone lived 22 kids under the age of 17. If a family had fewer than 4 children, you figured something must have gone wrong. Except for the few publics, we all went to St. Peter's for church and school. And we walked there and back in gaggles, clogging up the sidewalks. As a kid, I assumed if you weren't Catholic, you were Jewish. In our part of town, you were one or the other. I discovered later that most of the white Protestants had fled across the state line into the Kansas suburbs to escape the unrest and tension following the